Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Due to the COVID-19 emergency, tonight's Committee of Adjustment hearing is being held by video conference and live streaming under video on the town's live stream webpage at oakville.ca. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variance and consents held under the authority of the Planning Act. Please keep in mind the intent of this process is to review the application that is before the committee, listen to the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or organizations. If a request for a deferral is made and the committee grants such a request, the applicant or authorized agent must contact the Secretary-Treasurer to schedule a new hearing date. In order to conduct an effective and efficient electronic hearing, we have adopted the following process. If you are watching the live stream of this hearing on oakville.ca, and if you wish to speak to an item on the agenda, you can call the number 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The phone number is also posted on your screen below the live stream page of oakville.ca. Staff will be standing by to take your call. When you do call in, staff will take your name and item number that you wish to address and your telephone number. Further instructions will be provided to you to join the video conference. When the chair of the committee polls the interested parties, the Secretary-Treasurer will unmute you when it is your time to speak. The applicant or agent will be given the opportunity to briefly explain to the committee the basis of their application and answer any questions that may arise. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for a presentation. You will need to state your full name and address for the record, and any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. All delegations must also state their full name and address for the record and given 5 minutes to provide and make their presentations. All remarks and questions will be directed to the chair, and any submissions beyond those 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. The applicant or agent will then be provided with a further 5 minutes to respond to comments and concerns by any interested parties and answer any questions from the committee members. If the applicant or agent has any concerns found in staff report, particularly with any proposed conditions, this will be the opportunity to advise us. The matter will then be taken into committee for a decision, and this will mark the end of all discussions. Any person desiring a notice of decision for an application must provide a written request, preferably through email, to the Secretary-Treasurer. Please note that you must make a written request in order to be included on the list that is used by the local planning appeal tribunal and giving of any subsequent notice of any appeal. Written notice of the committee's decision will be mailed no later than 10 days for minor variances and 15 days for consent applications to the applicant and agent and any other person who has filed a written request for such notice. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, you may appeal this to the local planning appeal tribunal. The last day to appeal the decision to the local planning appeal tribunal will be noted on the decision. If any appeal is received within the prescribed time frame, the decision of the committee becomes final and binding. The Secretary-Treasurer will then notify the applicant and anyone who received a copy of the decision through written correspondence. People participating in the hearing are to be courteous to, respectful of the members of the committee, town staff, and other people participating in the electronic hearing. Tonight's electronic hearing is video recorded and available for future viewing at oakville.ca. Thank you. We have one regret this evening, Mr. John Hardcastle. Do I have any declarations of pecuniary interests? Mr. Flemington, go ahead, sir.
Madam Chair, I would like to declare a declaration with regards to application on the consent application B20/07 and B20/08. Just in reference to the company I represent has a number of assets within that location.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Flemington. Any other declarations? I see none. Very well. Ms. Jasmina, do we have any requests for deferral or withdrawals of applications at this time?
Through Madam Chair, Let me see. Yes, I do have. I'm just gonna promote two panelists. Mr. David Nelson.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Nelson. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, good?
Yes, thank you.
Super.
You can also turn your camera on if you'd like. It's at the top corner of your...
under view?
Yes, and you can just start video on the top.
Top right or top left?
Top right, sir.
Okay. I'm under gallery. Is that fine?
No, it's the farthest top right corner. If you click, if you tap your page, it'll show you mute, stop video, or share video.
Start video. It's down on the bottom of mine. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
There we go.
Fabulous. All right. Good to see you, sir.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Okay, so which one are you requesting a deferral or withdrawal of?
Madam Chair, with respect to A080-2020, that's 2552 Riversbend Lane.
Okay.
We are in the process working with the region to obtain a new set of comments from the region with respect to this application.
Very well, thank you, sir. So you are going to speak to the Secretary Treasurer for her to get you on the agenda that best suits you once you've completed your conversation with the region.
Yes, certainly. We don't know what that time frame will be at this point.
Okay, very well. Members, all those in support of a deferral? Okay, Mr. Nelson, your application has been deferred, none opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I shall leave the meeting.
Very well, thank you. Have a good night, sir.
Good night.
Ms. Jasmina, is there anyone else?
No, through Madam Chair, I can't. Just a second. I see one more hand. I'm gonna promote. Mr. Sain Gurdov to panelist.
Mr. Singh, you can unmute yourself, sir.
Yes,
Very well. Yes, we can see you and we can hear you. Good evening. Which application are you here for, sir?
Good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm here for CAV A086/2020. The property address 1389 6th Line, Oakville.
Okay. And you're requesting a deferral?
Yes, I do. I'm requesting a deferral. One of the variants get missed in the application for the front setback, and I did have a conversation earlier with Jasmina and also with the planning, Brandon from planning, and they were in agreement to have it deferred and then have the third item added on the agenda as well in the application.
Very well, sir. So when you are ready, you will see Jasmina and she will assign you a new hearing date.
Yes.
Very well. Members, I'm in your hands. All those in support of a deferral? Okay. Your application has been deferred, sir. None opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
I will leave the meeting. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you. Is there anyone else, Ms. Jasmina?
No, Madam Chair. I can't see anybody.
Okay, very well. Then we will start with the first item on our agenda, which is the consent application B2007 at 2496 Bristol Circle. Who do we have here representing this item? Mr. Lima?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. You can turn your camera on as well.
Okay, so I'm just see what I do there. Yeah, hi.
Great, perfect.
Yeah, good evening. So we're here to our applications for consent application to permit a easement access to our property, which is 2496 Bristol Circle, and 2504 Bristol Circle, which is to the west. Our application is current under site plan approval, and this is the last thing that we need in order to obtain our approval. We've been working with planning staff, and then we do comply with all zoning bylaw requirements in terms of parking, setbacks, and pretty much everything for in terms of the zoning bylaw. And the neighbors are in support. The neighbors are 2504 and the others to the west. So when we start this application, we had two access points, one to the west and one to the east of that property. And those two are existing shared driveway as is with the current neighbors, right? After the discussion with the town planner and staff, we ended up to have one access only, which is access A, as you can see on the screen, and then we have one access, and the other one to the east has been is existing, so it's only for the other neighbor, and then we have a landscape strip there. So if we can go up to the next slide, please. Yeah, so that one is access point A, which is between 2504 and 2496. This situation is very common currently on the area. So the same is happening between 2504 and 2512. Also between 2528 and 2512. So this is, that's what's happening in there. So just keeping in line with the what's current there. So let's see what are my other points. If you can pull up the next slide, please. Yeah. So the town staff report they're in support of the application. We feel that the one access is it will be better than the two access for a safety point of view, and then less asphalt. Yeah, and then as I said, the neighbors are fully support. Regards to the letter we received from the neighbor on 2488, that's the only neighbor that seems to have some comments. I'd like to address the comments if I can. So the intent of this building is a banquet hall, and most of the venue most of the function will be at night in the evenings. So even though we comply with parking requirements, we're not going to be able to park it during the day, basically because, as I said, most of the events will be in the evening. And not only that, the owner has agreement with the neighbor 2504 to share parking if needed. But as I said, there won't be an issue. And yes, I want to also confirm that this is meant to be a banquet hall, not a nightclub, as stated on the email. And yeah, so I think we addressed most of the concerns. As I said, we comply with the zoning bylaw for everything else. That's the only thing we need to obtain our second approval.
Okay, thank you. Once we exit, yes, thank you. Are there any questions or items of clarification of Mr. Lima at this time? Ms. Murray, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Lima, for your presentation. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to ask you, can you tell me or share with the committee what the capacity of the banquet hall is, please?
Yes. So on paper here, because we want to maximize from the building point of view, is 500 people. But in reality, it would be about 300. It will not get into 500 people. We show as a maximum, as a worst case scenario, but it's not going to happen in practical terms, right? So it's about 300 people.
Okay, so my follow-up question is at 2504, you have an agreement to share parking. What is the capacity, please, at 2504?
I do not know the information. However, you can see on the aerial map, on the aerial view there is roughly the same size of our parking lot. So it will basically be roughly double what we have right now.
Okay, so reasonably speaking, Mr. Lima, if we were to add 48 and 48, even at your lowest capacity of 300, that would not be appropriate parking for the venue. And there is no street parking. Having done my site visit, there is no street parking. Can you please address that?
Yes, absolutely. So as I said, we comply with the current zoning by law, and one of the items is parking spaces. So we've been working with town staff, and then we do meet the minimum the requirements for parking. So we're not asking for variance for parking. And on top of that, as the neighbor 2504, we show share parking. There are also neighbor across the street that also have agreement to share park if needed. But as I said, most of the events will be happening in the evening, so you won't have a problem. We do have a traffic report that was submitted to the city, to the town, and then also address that as well. So everything's been reviewed in detail by the town planners, the town staff, the planning staff, transportation, and there was no concern.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other items of clarification or questions at this time? I see none. Ms. Jasmina, is there anyone who is waiting to speak to this application? We do have one letter of objection that I note we've all had submitted. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to the application and is waiting?
Madam Chair, I can see nobody that is waiting for questions.
Okay, very well. If there are no further items of clarification and Mr. Lima, you're satisfied with the conditions that town staff has recommended in Appendix A,
Yes.
we will take the matter into committee at this present time.
Yes.
Very well. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Tlaski. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'm satisfied that this application for shared access represents good planning, that plan of subdivision is not required in this instance. I will speak to the letter of objection and the comments of Member Murray. I would note that the objection on the parking and the use are not in front of the committee. We're dealing with an access easement. And I'd also note that of course, with the staff report, the proposed use of the property does comply with both the use and the parking. So on that basis, Madam Chair, I would recommend that the easement be approved, subject to the conditions found in Appendix A.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Tlaski. Is there discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay. All those opposed? Okay. The application has been approved, and 2 for and 1 opposed. Your application has been approved, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sherry?
Yes.
there is two applications, so
Yes, I understand that his presentation involved both of them,
okay.
but Mr. Talowski can do the motion for the second property as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For similar reasons just expressed, I would move that the second application for the easement also be approved, and again, subject to the conditions found in Schedule A.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Talowski. And this is with respect to application B2008 at 2504 Bristol Circle. Is there a discussion on the recommendation? I see none. All those for? Okay, all those opposed? Once again, the application has been approved for 2504 Bristol Circle, 2 for, 1 opposed. Okay, so we've dealt now with both consent applications. Thank you, Mr. Lima. You can exit the meeting now. Very well. Okay, so the next application tonight is CAV 081 of 2020 at 1433 Aldercrest Court. Again, the application is CAV 081 of 2020 at 1433 Aldercrest Court. Anyone who would like to speak to this application is asked to call the number 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. Staff will be standing by to take your call and will give you further instructions to join the video conference. Okay, who is in attendance for this application? Sorry, I'm just pulling it on a different screen. My screen is not liking me at this present time. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Once again. Ms. Jasmina,
Yes,
who do we have representing this application?
we do have
CAV 081?
we do have the owner, Miss Claudia Strongman.
Oh, hi, how
Yeah.
are you?
Good, how are you?
Good evening.
So, Claudia and Andrew Strongman, we're the homeowners of 1433 Aldercrest Court.
Very well. And
Oh, you
did
want-
you send in a
Okay.
presentation for town staff to upload on the screen?
Yes, I did.
Okay, very well. Go ahead then.
I don't see the presentation.
It just takes them a minute to upload it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
there we go.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so next slide, please. So we're applying for a variance of 4.42 meters instead of the 7.5 meters. We're looking to build a covered back porch attached to the house, 1-story and open structure. So the first slide here shows you the covered porch area attached to the existing home. Next slide. Next slide. This is a rendering of what it'll look like attached to the back. Next slide, please. And then this is the rear elevation. Everything's existing except for the covered area there. Next slide. And then the floor plan just from an aerial shot. Next slide. And then the foundation plan. And that's it. It's pretty basic.
Very well.
I think
We do have one letter of objection from a neighbor. I'm just wondering, Ms. Jasmina, is that neighbor online and wanting to speak to the application?
I do not see him signing into the meeting, so maybe we can ask again in a couple of minutes.
Okay, very well. Are there any items of clarification or questions of Mr. and Mrs. Strongman? Okay, I see none. We'll just give it a second.
Sure.
I note that this neighbor had problems with the overlook on privacy. I don't know if you've read the letter.
No, I didn't get a letter. The only letter I received was from Conservation Halton approving it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well.
And it must be the back neighbors, because we spoke to the ones directly beside us and to them.
1432 Notting Hill Gate. So that might be behind you. I don't know what the area was.
Did you want to forward us the letter?
I'm forwarding now. Yeah.
Yes, Ms. Jasmine will forward it now.
Okay.
We do have the comments from Conservation Halted that supports your application. Okay, Ms. Jasmina?
Yes.
Has anyone called in with regard to this application?
No, to Madam Chair, no.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Flemington, go ahead, sir.
Madam Chair, following the review of the application and noting that the town's written staff report is in support of, also having taken into account the comments presented by the application this evening, as well as noting that there was one written objection from the public, I am prepared to make a motion in support of the application as applied for, finding that it does meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act.
Very well, thank you, sir. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? Ms. Murray, go ahead. You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Apologies.
No
Madam
problem.
Chair, through you, I would like to add to the motion that with respect to the letter that was sent in from the public, as this is an addition that is only 1 story and it's open, I don't believe that it would deteriorate the privacy of the homeowners at 1432 Notting Hill Gate. And the owners there had also noted that they feel it's too close to the fence and it might be a noise nuisance. Should that be the case, or any noise nuisance can always be reported by calling 311. So I will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you for that submission. Mr. Flemington, go ahead, sir.
Madam Chair, I would also like to add the required conditions to my motion.
Yes.
which I forgot, that the addition be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawing dated July 4th, 2020, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Very well, thank you. With those conditions read on record, all those in support? Okay. All those opposed? Your application has been approved, none opposed.
Okay,
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a good
Good
evening.
night. You as well.
Okay. We're now looking at application CAV 082 of 2020 at 330 Sumner Avenue. Again, the application is CAV 082 of 2020 at 330 Sumner Avenue. Anyone who'd like to speak to this application is asked to call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The number is also posted under the screen of the live stream page at oakville.ca, and staff will be standing by to take your call and provide you with instructions to join the video conference. I have Gus Ricci as the agent for this application. Mr. Ricci, you need to unmute yourself. Thank you. And if you have your camera on, that would be great.
My camera is on.
Super. All right, go ahead, sir. This is the an application for an addition to the existing semi-detached dwelling.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gus Ricci at 64 Rebecca Street. We are the architects and agents for this application. The application before you is for a one-story addition to the side and rear of an existing dwelling. We're seeking variances for reduced side yard setback of 0 and 1.75 meters instead of the 1.2 and 2.4 meters that's required. And that's essentially because it's a semi-detached home, so obviously there's a shared property line because of the semi-detached nature of the home. And the reduction in the side yard on the east side to 1.75 is we're essentially enlarging an existing kind of kitchen breakfast area on one floor. So we're seeking the variance on setbacks and also to legalize the existing use, since it is a semi-detached dwelling that's not permitted use in this zone. And because of the additional footprint on the ground floor, there is an increase in coverage. So we are also seeking an increase in coverage as part of the application. We have consulted with Heritage preliminary review, and they have no concerns with the application and have asked us to follow up with the formal application to them once we've cleared committee of adjustments. You should have also received 2 letters of support from the neighbor at number 328, which is the other half of the semi-detached to the west, and also the neighbor at 334.
Yes, we do have those on hand.
Yeah. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very well, thank you, sir. Are there any questions or items of clarification of Mr. Ricci at this time? Ms. Murray, go ahead.
So, Mr. Ricci, I conducted my site visit, and based on what we've seen, it appears to me, correct me if I'm wrong, it appears the addition has already been made?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, if I may, so I'm gonna.
Sure.
So I don't know if that helps, but I'm trying to. What structure do we have here?
That's the existing structure that we're adding on to.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any further items of clarification or questions of Mr. Ricci? Ms. Jasmina, has anyone called with interest to speak to this application?
No.
Very well. Mr. Ricci, if you're satisfied with the conditions that town staff have recommended, we are ready to take this matter into committee.
Look, I popped up.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, we're happy with the conditions as presented and accept any decision you're offering.
Very well. Thank you. Who would like to move a motion? Ms. Murray, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having conducted my site visit, reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I note that the staff is in support of, having also taken into account the comments presented by the applicant this evening, Mr. Ricci, and thank you for your presentation and for answering my questions. And noting that there are written notices of support from the neighbors at 328 and 334, which again, kudos for reaching out to the neighbors. That's can often be very key in smoothing the way for these processes. And I am influenced by the submission as such. I'm satisfied that the minor variance application meets all 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application for variance subject to the following conditions. That the addition be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated August 19th, 2020, and heritage permit, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a permit has not been issued for the proposed construction. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Very well. Thank you. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed. Thank you, Mr. Ricci. Have a good night.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll leave the meeting now.
Very well. Next, we have application CAV 083 at 2020 at 112 Watson Avenue. Again, CAV 083 of 2020 at 112 Watson Avenue. Anyone interested in speaking to this application is asked to call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The number is also posted below the live stream page at oakville.ca, and staff will be standing by to take your call, providing you with further instructions to join the video conference. Who do we have here for this application, Ms. Jasmina?
Through Madam Chair, I believe this is the agent, but I can't see the exactly who is for the application. Maybe we can verify.
Hello?
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Mr. Bootsma?
Yes, and John Witten was interested in speaking on this, if that's possible.
Who is John Witten?
He is the, I guess, the contractor who will be constructing the addition.
Okay, and you're the agent that's representing the application?
Is that?
I am.
Can you confirm this is for the application CAVA 083 Watson Avenue?
Correct, yeah.
This is the proposed
Okay.
new construction of a rear sunroom, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, very well. So can you provide your name and address for the record for Ms. Jasmina to have it? And then when, I'm sorry, who did you say the other party was?
John Witten.
Witten, okay. And when Mr. Witten takes the mic, he can do the same. If you have a camera capacity, you can actually turn it on, and that's actually helpful for us to be able to see you.
My camera actually doesn't function.
Okay. Okay.
I've unmuted myself, so it's John Witten speaking. I usually act on behalf of the client.
Witten, okay.
Witten.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Witten, can you also provide your name and address for the record?
It's John Witten, Witten, 58 Conrad Place, Grimsby, Ontario, L3M 5S5.
Very well, thank you, sir. Ms. Maria, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so I'm confused. Who's acting on behalf of the owner? Who's the agent officially?
So, Mr. Booth,
if I may, Madam Chair, I should be the agent. We had the engineer firm do the drawings, but he inadvertently put his name on as agent. I have the authorization on the behalf of the homeowners to act on their behalf.
so Mr. Witten, would you like to do the presentation, or are you both sharing the presentation?
Allow me to do the presentation, Madam Chair, if I may.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, we have the three minor variants that we're applying for. Rear yard sunroom. We have a minimum rear yard setback, and we have a lot coverage issue in the side yard. I could go over the comments from staff, but I obviously concur with staff. The only concern I have, I received later this afternoon a couple of letters from neighbors concerned about their trees. Rest assured that we are not the largest equipment that we would be putting on there. May be a large snow blower. All we're doing is using the engineered techno-metal post for foundation, so we will not be digging anything. We would just be putting these posts in. So the concern that the neighbors have, and I apologize, normally we reach out to neighbors, but because of COVID, we haven't. We would have and explained that to them, and maybe I would have put them at ease, that they would understand that we're not going to be harming any trees, which is certainly not our intent.
Okay, Mr. Witten, did you provide town staff with a drawing that they can
Yes, we have.
present? Okay, so perhaps we can do that, and because we're video conferencing live, anyone watching it, it'll be of assistance to them.
Okay.
And we'll go from there, sir.
Through Madam Chair, Mr. John Witten didn't provide presentation drawings. It was sent 2 times the email saying that we can use our drawings that we have in the records, and he needed to provide the drawings separate for presentation. I haven't received any drawings from him by the time that we need to put on the website.
Oh, okay. Well, we have our drawings that we can look at handy. I just wanted the public to be able to view it as part of the presentation tonight. That's fine. Is there any questions or items of clarification? Ms. Maria, I see your hand up again.
Yes, in lieu of the presentation that might have been presented by the agent, could the town staff please show the drawings for the public, please, and thank you.
I don't know if they have them. I think that's what Jasmina was trying to say.
Sure, Madam Chair, they are trying to retrieve our drawings and put on the SharePoint. If you can wait a couple seconds.
Yes, we can wait. Is there anyone who is waiting to speak to this application? I do note the 2 letters of objection from 407 Lakeshore and 403 Lakeshore Road. Have they called in to speak to the matter?
No, as of right now, I can't see nobody that calls.
Okay, very well. So once we've been able to view those drawings and Mr. Witten can speak to them, we can take the matter into committee if no one else has called in.
finally joined the committee.
It's always
Funny.
nice to put a face to the name.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
This modern technology.
Yes. Here we go. Okay, this is your drawing, Mr. Witt, and you can speak to it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, looking at it, there's lots of amenity space, knowing the four criteria for a minor variance. Normally, I wouldn't even apply if I thought it wasn't minor in nature, so I was happy to read staff's report who felt the same. And I really want to address the neighbors, that be rest assured that trees are important to us, and that's why we use a techno-metal post, so we don't excavate, we don't, you know, the largest equipment may be a large size of like a snow blower. So we want to minimize any disruption to the neighborhood. So I want to put those neighbors at ease that they will not have to worry about any damage being done to anything.
Okay. Very well. Can town staff bring up the next 2 or 3 just to see the side elevations as well? Very well. Okay, thank you for that. If there are no further questions of Mr. Whitten at this time, we'll take the matter into committee. Okay, Mr. Talowski, go ahead, sir. You need to unmute yourself. It's not working. Mr. Flemington, do you want to
there
take
it goes.
Oh, there
Finally
you go.
got it.
We just had to scare it into action.
My apologies, Madam Chair. My mouse seems to have gotten a mind of its own tonight. It's working when it wants to. Madam Chair, I'd be happy to move this application be approved as applied for, finding that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. I would note 2 letters of objection and regarding trees and access of heavy equipment. Madam Chair, I'm satisfied that the applicant has addressed those concerns by indicating that there will not be a foundation excavation for this sunroom and that no heavy equipment is required. I would make that approval subject to the addition being built in general accordance with the site plan dated August 28th, 2020 and elevations dated August 21st, 2020, and that a building permit issue within 2 years.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Talowski. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? Ms. Murray, go ahead.
Yes, less of a discussion, more of a comment to Mr. Whitten. There were 2 letters of objection, and you noted that there was no outreach to the neighbors. And again, I would like to stress, while not essential, it is helpful to have outreach to the to the neighbors. You indicated that COVID-19 was the reason why. That is an excuse. It's not a reason. We have other applications that reach out to neighbors through various methods, whether they're old through new, which is through new technology, or old through snail mail. So in the future, I would encourage you to reach out on these projects to your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion or items of commenting? Very well. All those in support of the approval? Okay. And all those opposed? Sir, your application has been approved, none opposed.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, the next application on our agenda is CAV 084 of 2020 at 73 Holyrood Avenue. Again, CAV 084 of 2020 at 73 Holyrood Avenue. The number to call to speak to this application is 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The number is also posted on the screen below the live stream page at oakville.ca, and staff is standing by to take your call with further instructions for you to join the video conference. We have Mr. Bunker as the agent. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
If you would like, and you do have camera capacity, you can turn your camera on. And town staff is pulling up your presentation right now.
Start your video, okay. Unable to access. Okay. Yeah, I don't see how to get my picture up.
That's fine, sir. Go ahead. This is your the presentation you submitted. You can take us through it. Go ahead.
Yes, the owners purchased this property recently. There is an existing bungalow on the property. The owners are going to retain most of the existing footprint and add a partial second floor to the house. There are two variances, one for the gross floor area and one for the size of the garage. I believe they're both very minor. The owners have talked to most of the neighbors in the surrounding area, and there has been no opposition to the proposal.
Very well. We do have the submitted signatures with the letters of support on hand from your various neighbors. I do have a comment with respect to your application, though. Town staff did note that there's a possible variance that has been overlooked with respect to your interior side yard. So have you had a chance to have that discussion with town staff?
Yes, we can deal with that when we apply for the building permit.
So there's a chance that you will have to come back before us for another variance?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Does town staff have any comments further to that submission?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I spoke with the zoning examiner that took a look at this file, and based on the addition that's being added on the second story, the interior side yard setback needs to comply with the 1.2 meter requirement. So my understanding is that a variance is required. If the applicant elects not to defer, I'm not too sure what changes will occur in terms of the building permit plans and how much in accordance they'll be with the CAV plan. So at that point, then a new variance would be required in addition to this one if it is approved.
Okay, very well. Are there any items of clarifications or questions of either town staff or Mr. Bunker at this time from committee members? And if I can't see the committee members, yes, thank you. Ms. Murray, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering if they could speak to the letter in opposition that is on record. We noted that perhaps there wasn't opposition, but it appears there is opposition from a neighbor by the name of Bobby Hill. It's not cited what address they're from.
That neighbor has withdrawn. She has withdrawn her opposition.
Respectfully, thank you for that comment, but it would be the neighbor that would have to withdraw that opposition.
I believe Jasmina received correspondence on that.
Yes.
Jasmina, is that correct?
Yes, I sent to addendum to all the members with revised comments and revised opposition. So.
Thank you for
So
working with
we
the
have
neighbor then.
Hill Jesse at 79 Holyrood Avenue who has retracted their opposition, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Miss, there's someone else online right now. Is there someone who's waiting to speak to this application?
I believe that's the owner of the property.
Oh, okay, very well. Thank you. Okay, yes.
Hello.
Mr.
We are the owners of the property.
Very well, thank you for
Yeah.
yours.
Bobby hit by Sunday when we got home, and she wanted to retract it, which she did, I think, on Monday, as well as the other variants that come up. We have been working with the town for the last 3 months, and just 2 days before this meeting, they found the other variants on the side yard setback. We're going to change the overhang of the house, pull it back to be within the side yard setback to make sure that we wouldn't have another variant at the building permit stage.
Okay, but that will not affect your drawings because when we, if we approve the application, we tie it to the site plans and elevation drawings, and we have ones here that are dated August 17 of 2020. So if those change, you're going to have a problem because they're tied to drawings that may have changed. As long as you understand that's the risk that you take.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you. If we pull the overhang and when they go in for building permit and we're within the 1.2 meters of the side yard setback, would it not be approved at building permit stage?
Yeah, I'm gonna let town staff comment to that. Ms. Murray, hold on 1 second. Do you have a comment with this regard, or can I finish this point and then?
I do. Actually, it may be more illustrative if we could have up on screen the drawings. That might be helpful. Thank you to town staff if you could put the drawings up. Thank you.
If you look at the right-hand side as we see it now, it calls for a 2-foot overhang, which that is a problem for the side yard setback. If we pull it back with 12 more inches towards the side of the house, which we're not opposed to at all, we can do both sides 1 foot overhang, and then we wouldn't have this issue with the side yard setback issue, which was only brought to our attention, I think, Charlie, was maybe Thursday or Friday last week.
Okay, very well. Does town staff have a comment on that submission?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Again, as noted in the planning staff comments, full building permit plans were not examined through a review of the Committee of Adjustment package. Given that the proposal is for an addition to a legal non-conforming situation, there may be an opportunity to correct it through the building permit plans without making significant drastic changes to the CAV plans. But again, that's difficult to say until staff see and review with zoning staff what the changed plans would look like. So there is potential that the variance would not be required, but again, there is that risk that it might be at the same time.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So, Mr. Am I pronouncing your name right? DeBreen?
Yeah, you got it right.
DeBreen. As long as you understand that there is a risk when you change things with respect to the plans that are submitted and are tied to the decision of this application. If you're able to make it work, great, but if it's not, then you will have to come back before the committee. So as long as you understand that. That's why we give you the opportunity to defer to make sure that everything aligns and that all your plans coincide with the decision that we make.
Yes, I'm comfortable moving forward.
Okay, very well. If town staff would kindly bring back the panel. Thank you. Ms. Murray, you have another question?
I do. Madam Chair, through you to town staff, would it be possible to mitigate the potential return to committee with conditions that indicate to the satisfaction of the director of planning. Director, is there some wording that would mitigate? Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, I think in this situation, again, noting the legal non-conforming situation, that may assist in the review of the interior side yard setback. It's not like it's height variance that spans the entire width of the building. It's on one side of the dwelling, so that may assist. But again, I can't guarantee that it won't result in zoning staff more fine-tooth comb review and noting a variance will be required in the future. But there is that flexibility if the Director of Planning Services takes a look at it when the building permit plans come in.
Very well, thank you. We'll entertain that within our motions then. Who would like to move a motion? If you're Mr. DeBreen and Mrs. DeBreen, if you're satisfied and agree with the comments, with the conditions that we're proposing, we can move this matter into committee right now if you have no further submissions.
To Madam,
Yes, we're
to Madam Chair.
Very well. Yes, yes, Jasmine, I'm sorry.
Judy wants to speak in regards to something.
Oh yeah, no, I see her.
I was prepared to make a motion.
Yeah, I see you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Also, can you again repeat if somebody from attendance wants to participate or to ask any question? Because I see somebody, but they don't raise the hands to speak in regards
Okay, so is there anyone online who has interest in application CAV 084 of 2020 at 73 Holyrood Avenue? If you are waiting to speak to this application, please identify yourself and allow the town staff to invite you into the conference, the video conference.
Yeah.
Anything?
No.
Okay, they might be just in attendance waiting for the following application. Okay, if we're ready, go ahead, Ms. Murray, you can proceed with your motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having conducted my site visit and reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town staff's written report, which I note that the town staff is in support of, and thank you for the comments presented by the applicants this evening. It appears to be Mr. and Mrs. DeBreen. Much appreciated, and thank you for the clarification and for communicating with your neighbor, Bobby Hill, and noting that the objection has been retracted. I'm satisfied that the minor variance application meets all 4 tests under the Planning Act. I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the application for variance subject to the following conditions: that the dwelling be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan to the approval of the Director of Planning Services, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of a decision if a permit has not been issued for the proposed construction. Thank you.
Very well. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed. Have a good night, Mr. and Mrs. DeBreen.
Thank you.
And Mr. Bunker.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
good night.
Don't push leave. That's the time. That'll say leave.
Yeah, you can exit the meeting very well. All right. The next item on our agenda is CAV 085-2020 at 45 Samford Place. Again, the number is 085-2020 at 45 Samford Place. Anyone who would like to speak to this item is asked to call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. Staff is standing by to provide you with instructions with respect to joining the video conference, and this number is also being live streamed at oakville.ca. Very well. Who do we have here? Tuksohan Dhaliwal and Sandeep Dhaliwal. Very well. You are the owners, correct?
Yes.
And you are representing yourselves?
Yes.
Okay, very well. Good evening.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
So we have two minor variances in our, like we are going to construct a new house, 2-story, detached. And we have two minor variances. One is the maximum residential floor area, which is 41%, but we are we want, like, because we have a joint family, our parents, our children, so we want a little bit more. So we have a plan for 45.64%, and the other one is for the garage, which is very minor. So it should be 45 square meters, and we are applying for 46.64 square meters.
Okay.
So these are the two variances we are applying for.
The extra square footage that you're requesting is about 350 square feet as a total floor area.
Yeah.
Can you identify where those additions are going?
Not specific to any area, they are going to, because we have a big family parents, so basically we are having washroom in each room upstairs, my parents, my husband's parents, and our children, we are all living together, so we need that. So that's why we have a little bit more square feet upstairs. And I don't think so any specific, we are not adding anything specifically, but because of those little things, I think it's going a little bit up.
Okay, very well. Mr. and Mrs. Dhaliwal, let me canvass the committee members to see if they have questions or items of clarification. You do know that town staff is not in support of your application. Have you read their notes?
Yes.
And comments?
Yes.
In terms of the overmassing and overbuilding? Have you tried to mitigate those issues, perhaps in elements of your design, to soften the design up a little bit? Do you have any comments with respect to?
In 2014, so their lot number 203, just a house across our house, so they got approved for 44.3% instead of 40, the same lot size. So instead of 41%, they got approved for 44.3%. So we just want additional square feet to support our family so that we can live together, and everybody has convince of
Okay, if town staff would kindly bring us back to the panel mode so I can see if anyone else has items of clarifications or questions of Mr. and Mrs. Dhaliwal. Very well. Members, do you have any questions, items of clarification? Ms. Murray, go ahead.
Madam Chair, through you to town staff, to the best of your knowledge, I'm going to assume that the applicant knew that the residential floor area variance is not supported. Were there any alternatives offered to decrease the massing?
Through you, Madam Chair, no, there's been no discussion with the applicant in terms of changes or modifications to the plans as they relate to the residential floor area to date.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in attendance or waiting to speak to this application, Ms. Jasmina?
To Madam Chair, no.
Okay, very well. Are there any further questions? Okay. Thank you for your submission. I think we'll take this matter into committee right now and we'll hear what the committee has to say.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, who would like to start the ball rolling? Ms. Murray, go ahead.
I don't have a motion at this time, but I certainly do have some comments. Having conducted my site visit, I tend to agree with the town staff with regard, to variance number 1 on the residential floor area. In that the proposed dwelling has a massing and scale that results overbuilding on the lot with respect to the balance of the neighborhood. Those are my thoughts at this time, and I of course would invite anyone to comment, including the owners if they wish. Thank you.
I think I'd like to also mention to Mr. and Mr. Dhaliwal that while we understand that there are other properties that may have been in the neighborhood that received variances above what is permitted, we do not compare to other properties. We take every application on its merit, and we look at the 4 tests and we apply them and make our decisions based on that. Just as an item of clarification, just because other neighbors may have gotten them and we don't exactly know, in your presentation you didn't really show us the proximity of these neighbors and where they are in the neighborhood, so we can't really speak to that, and it's not a point of relevance that we can take into consideration at this time.
That's okay.
All right. Any further comments or items of clarification, or are we ready to entertain a motion? I see everyone's head down. Would you like me to pick on someone?
I guess, Madam Chair, just in support of what our other member, Ms. Murray, commented on, and just listening to the comments of town staff, I recognize the applicants and what the need is for their family needs. There are times, though, when the staff kind of comments on what they can support and what they cannot support. I didn't get the sense from staff that there was any dialogue between the applicant and the staff with regards to the first variance and, what could be done in order to mitigate some of that overage. So that's 1. 2, there are other applicants that have, applied that are over what the percentage is, but they are able to sort of illustrate within the floor plans, where and why. I do acknowledge that the applicant did say that, they, have washrooms off of each of the bedrooms. But, in my analysis of the plan and looking at the floor plan, if there was no discussion talking about other areas that could have been amended or changed somewhat, even noting that there may have been an excess over what is provided, excuse me, I just think that because that did not occur, I kind of support Ms. Murray's comments with regards to that first variance. I personally, I don't think that I can support that first variance because no discussion seemed to have taken place with regards to that overage.
Okay. Thank you for your submission. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? So just to clarify, Mr. Flemington, are you making a motion to deny the application, or you were just making comments in support of Ms. Murray?
Well, I do not have any objections as per the town's written report with regards to the second variance. So if I
Okay.
was to move a motion, I would move, and if you'd like me to move a motion, I would move a motion stating that the application as applied for, I cannot support the first variance, but am willing to support the second variance, if that's a possible motion to move.
I don't like doing that because we have to tie it to plans, and if we're not supporting these plans, it's going to be hard to accept that division in terms of the variances. I don't know. That's my personal preference, but if anyone else has a comment, I'm happy to engage in that discussion.
Well,
Mr. Talowski, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I believe you're correct. The motion in this case would need to be to either approve or deny both the application or both the variances. And since I've got my mic working, if I may take the opportunity to speak to Mr. Flemington's motion, which I assume he'll be amending to an outright denial. While I'll support that motion, for the applicant's information, from my perspective, it's not the size of the variance that I'm having difficulty with. I believe that when you're seeking to vary the bylaw and add the additional square footage, there's an obligation on your part to try to mitigate the impact of that. And you know, in this case, and looking at your drawings, you know, and there is more room over your garage, that if you had pulled the second floor back from the front and other side walls and centered the additional square footage in the middle with some additional design elements, I believe staff and committee may have looked at this differently. So I believe there is an onus to mitigate that additional square footage, and I don't see that taking place here.
Okay, thank you for your submission. Mr. Flemington, go ahead, sir.
So thank you. I do agree with the comments. So I will move a motion that the application CAV A085 be denied, finding that it does not meet the 4 tests of the Planning Act, and encourage the applicant to you know, reach out to the town and possibly look at, you know, mitigating some of the floor plan to ensure that next time, you know, something could be applied for that is more in line with what we could approve. So a motion to deny the application.
Okay, all those in support of the denial? Okay, I'm sorry, your application has been denied. Okay, none opposed.
Fine. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, have a good night.
You too, thank you.
Okay, the last item on our agenda is item CAV 015 of 2020, deferred from January the 28th of 2020 at 150 Stewart Street. Again, the number is 150 Stewart Street, and the application is CAV 015 of 2020, deferred from January 28th. Anyone who'd like to speak to this application should call 905-815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The phone number is also posted in the live stream page at oakville.ca, and staff are standing by to take your call and provide you with further instructions on joining the video conference. Okay, I believe the agent is Miss Evangelista.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members. Ida Evangelista on behalf of the owners of 150 Stewart Street.
Good evening, Miss Evangelista.
Good evening. The application that you have in front of you, it was originally,
Madam Chair, I can't hear the applicant.
Yeah, I'm increasing my volume as well. Is there an opportunity for Miss Evangelista to speak into her mic or perhaps turn her volume up slightly because we're having a hard time hearing you and I'm on maximum volume.
okay, just give me one moment. Can you hear me now?
I see Miss Murray shaking her head, so no. I do hear you, but it's very faint, and I have my ear phones in my ear, so
Okay.
that's perhaps the reason that I can hear you a little bit. But I'm concerned that the other members who have their mics on are not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Miss Murray?
Slightly better.
Okay, thank you.
I'm on 100%. How about if
Oh.
I speak very loudly?
I think that would help. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So back in January, on January 28th, this item was deferred to allow us time to modify the plans per staff's request. The initial request that we came to you in January was a GFA of 47.98%, and staff also had concerns with the massing. So what we've done is we've worked very closely with planning and urban design. We have modified the plans and we have modified the GFA, as what you have in front of you is now GFA of 45%. So this is an increase of 10.55 square meter. We have also addressed the massing, which now what we've done is we've stepped back from the first story, we've stepped back the second story. We're using mixed materials such as stone, stucco, wood cladding, and this will be similar to other homes in the neighborhood and areas you see on page 3. You know, there are homes in the neighborhood and in the area that have stucco and stone and wood cladding. And as you have in front of you, staff's report that they are in agreement with the proposal that you have in front of you. And I respectfully submit the application does meet the 4 tests. And we are in agreement with the conditions stated in the staff report.
Very well, thank you for your submission. Is there a discussion or items of clarification of Ms. Evangelista at this present time? Go ahead, Ms. Murray.
I was just wondering if you were able to put up the public sign of notice.
Through Madam Chair, that was sent to all members with posting sign pictures, and they found the sign and post again. So it was emailed to you around 2 p.m.
I would through you, Madam Chair, if I have liberty to address.
Yes, go ahead. You have to just speak loudly.
Okay. If you see here on September 18th, I was there and I did post the sign well within the specified time period. And I spent a quite considerable amount of time. Now, we did go back and we did repost the sign as soon as we heard.
Okay, thank you very much. And I suspect it's a bit of a, it's tough because it appears that the individual occupying the property or the house at this point in time did not want to post. So I can appreciate the difficulty and I appreciate the effort. Thank you very much.
I can't hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Through you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Member Murray.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other items of clarifications or questions of Ms. Evangelista at this time? Okay, I see none. If you're satisfied with the conditions that town staff are recommending, we can take the matter into committee right now. who would like to move a motion? Is there anyone who is waiting to speak to this application, Jasmina, before we take the matter into committee?
There is no phone calls.
Okay, very well. So then we will take the matter into committee. Who would like to move a motion? Ms. Murray, you want to take this last one?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Thank you for the prodding. Madam Chair, having conducted my site visit, reviewed the applicant's written submission as well as the town's written staff report, which I note is in support of this submission, and having taken into account the comments presented by the applicants this evening, and thank you to the applicant for all efforts as well. I am satisfied that the minor variance of the application meets all four tests of the Planning Act, and again, a testament to the owners and the agent for working with the city to find a resolve, and prepared to make a motion to approve the application for variance subject to the following conditions, which would be that the dwelling be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated 2020-04-07, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction. I also note that there does not appear to be any community input at this time, and no one has called in. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? Okay, I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed. Thank you, Ms. Evangelista. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members. Thank you.
Have a good night. Okay, we have minutes from September 15th that we'd like to confirm. Ms. Murray, thank you for confirming the minutes. And motion to adjourn. Mr. Flemington, thank you. Motion to adjourn. We are adjourned at 8:28.